We are starting fashionably 1 minute late because that's what the cool kids do. And even though we're not cool kids, we want to do what they do. Robbie is technicaling over here. We are trying to get ourselves situated. We just read Even Ninjas Need Asparagus to our friends, and now we're going to talk about the real McCoys over here. So, agenda item. Of course, agendas are necessary to keep Robbie in line because she's so unruly. Greetings. That's different than introductions. I think greetings is, hello, friend. But I am going to tell you that my name is Matthew Alden Swanson. I am an author. I write books. I make pasta. I tolerate Robbie. I do all sorts of things. Who are you, friend?
Your hardest job is tolerating Robbie.
Who are you?
I'm Robbie.
Yeah.
That person that he has to tolerate.
Yeah, she's great. She's great.
My name is Robbie.
Yeah.
Kato Bear. For those of you who know our children, you know that one of them is named Alden. And one of them is named Kato.
We are so unimaginative that we couldn't think of names for our children, so we took the names in the middle of our names. Yeah.
A third of them is named August Bear Swanson.
Jasper has no relation to the rest of us.
Anyone.
He is so unruly that we didn't...
We're not even sure he's related.
Here we go. He is. He is our child. We love him. All right. Greetings. Talk about stay from home story time. Okay, here you guys go. This is what you're not supposed to do when you try to establish a tradition, is change it on the third day.
Yes.
But we were invited to be a part of a lineup of creators tomorrow on Instagram from 11 in the morning to 2 in the afternoon. It's going to be a bunch of different children's book authors and illustrators. Reading at 20-minute intervals. We are super grateful to have been included, and so we don't want to overlap with that.
Yes.
So our presentation is at 12:20 tomorrow. We're going to publicize it and tell your parents about it so you can find us, but it goes all the way to 2 o'clock. So we are going to start story time tomorrow at 2 o'clock, and McCoy's read along at 2:30. And we will try never to do that again.
Sorry.
But it's happening tomorrow.
Yes.
Okay?
All right.
We will put the information on the thing.
Onwards with the agenda.
All right, here we go. This is, Robbie pays Matthew a compliment, using no fewer than 4 adjectives, each of which must have 2 syllables. So I'm sitting here, I'm excited and waiting. So do you understand, Robbie? 4 adjectives. No, 4 adjectives to, well, it could be one compliment. But each of the adjectives you use to compliment me must have 2 syllables.
I see.
Okay.
You are wearing a spectacular, colorful... Oh, that's only 3. Wait, how many syllables?
At least 2 syllables.
Okay.
So
spectacular, colorful, handsome, dynamic hat.
Okay, so you just complimented my hat, which is great. Now please compliment me. The agenda item says compliments Matthew. If you had complimented my choice of the hat...
You are very thoughtful, considerate, fashionable, and...
Boy, this is
admirable.
Thank you
for choosing to wear that hat.
Thank you, Robbie. Now, I want you guys to do that at home. There's somebody in the room with you. Turn to that person, take turns if you need to, and compliment the person with you using 4 adjectives, each of which is 2 syllables long.
This is a super hard
I mean,
task.
just try. I mean, if it doesn't work, it doesn't work. But we're trying to ask our readers to embrace vocabulary and embrace kindness. And this time, where we need Robbie.
You know what? If Matthew had to do it for me, he'd do it in like a second.
Robbie,
he's so good at it.
You are furtive, sneaky, dastardly, and occasionally terrifying.
Yes, that is true.
Robbie
those
considers all those things compliments. All right,
yes.
If you didn't have time to finish this exercise now, please complete it later. Report back to us about how it goes.
We want to know the adjectives.
Yes, absolutely. What does Peter say here?
The 4th graders of Amherst, Mass. have just discovered the joys of video chat hangout. Oh, so they're going to have to watch today on Video Recap. That's okay.
That is
That's
fine.
Okay.
That is fine. We welcome you. So, if you missed the live cast any day...
Peter himself is hanging out with us. Hi, Peter.
Hi, Peter. They're always going to be available on the YouTube channel afterwards. All right, let's see. That worked pretty well. Wrong again.
Oh,
okay.
Goodness.
All right, here we go. Ask readers to try this. You did that. Brief recap of McCoys chapters 1 and 2. So yesterday we read from our book, The Real McCoys. We read the 1st and 2nd chapters and the prologue. We met young Moxie McCoy, who considers herself the world's greatest 4th grade detective. We heard how her best friend Maud has just moved away. Maud was Moxie's detective partner and best friend. So Moxie's out one best friend, and she doesn't have her detective partner. So she is looking for a new best friend and a new detective partner.
Yes.
Her criteria include someone who hates soup.
Wow.
Moxie...
This is a thorough recap. I think also I just want to point out that if you actually want to read the chapters, they're posted. Like if you want to read them aloud with us, go to yesterday's thing.
I think what Robbie's telling me is to hasten my recap.
Yeah.
But since I began with a certain level of detail, Moxie loves avocados. She loves slugs. She does not like soup. She admires people who can ride on a unicycle and play the flugelhorn. Okay?
This is going to take forever if you really go through this level of
Moxie
detail.
has a brother named Milton who she does not value and esteem very highly. She thinks he's kind of boring. She can't believe she's related to him. That sets up a troublesome dynamic as the story begins, because Moxie, as we are going to find, relies upon Milton. All right, Robbie, was that a swifter encapsulation of chapter 2?
That was.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, Moxie's mom is a world-class entomologist, a bug expert, who is traveling in the Amazon and therefore is not home to love Moxie as Moxie would like. So Moxie misses her mom, and now we're going to go to school, Tiddlywump Elementary School, as chapter 3 begins, and see what happens there. Okay, my friends, put questions in the sidebar. Robbie will look at the questions. Yes. She'll monitor the situation, and we're going to launch into this. Chapter 3, Meet the Dublingers. Dad's rule is that Milton has to walk beside me until we can actually see the school. So the moment we turn the corner of Maple and Lark and the magnificent shape of Tiddlywump Elementary comes into view, Milton sprints for the front door. The bell won't ring for 20 minutes, but he likes to play it safe. As I walk up the path to the school, I'm on the lookout for best friend candidates, but I find myself less than enthusiastic about the options. Everyone is acting like an elementary school student. No one is talking about the important things in life, like catching criminals or rescuing kidnapped duchesses or negotiating secret treaties involving rogue nations. Instead, I hear talk of ponies, baseballs, Barbie dolls, and cartoon movies. But as I go inside, I hear a boy named Brian and a girl named Gwen talking about the winter assembly. Today is the last day of school before winter break, which means today is the last day that the award winners will be announced. At the end of every term, Principal Jones gives out awards to the kids who have been the best in various ways. And I am the best in various ways. First, there is the Wise Owl Award, which goes to the student with the best grades. While I agree that knowledge is important, as lightning-fast reflexes, I'm usually too busy battling the forces of injustice to worry about minor details like grades. I'm not interested in the Wise Owl Award, and never will be. Second is the Golden Owl Award, which goes to the student with the most owl points. Let me explain. Each one of us starts the year with 100 owl points, but we lose one every time we break a rule. Speak without raising your hand? Lose an owl point. Shove Jimmy Joseph when he cuts you in line? Lose an owl point. Valiantly rescue your alien brother's favorite hat by climbing a tree during recess? You get the idea. Basically, you lose an owl point for breathing in the wrong direction. On the other side of the lobby, Milton is being interviewed by Dud Boggs, an extremely tall sixth grader who is one of the reporters for our school newspaper, The Monthly Owl. The interview doesn't seem to be going very well, mostly because Milton refuses to speak. But Dud keeps asking questions and writing down notes. Perhaps the article will end up being a colorful description of Milton's gigantic head. Milton's a little bit famous at the moment because he is tied for first place in the owl point standings with a second grader named Tiffany Eifenbach. Both of them still have all 100 points, which is, quite frankly, astonishing. No one has ever won the Golden Owl with all 100 points, and there has never been a tie. We have no idea what Principal Jones is going to do. There is only one Golden Owl trophy. The winner gets to hold it for 5 minutes, and then it goes back into the case with our beloved mascot, Eddie, the Great Horned Owl. Of course, Eddie is not a real great horned owl. That would be so mean. Eddie is like an owl-shaped teddy bear. He is fuzzy and brown and has a monocle and a tiny blue bow tie. He sits in a glass case in the school lobby. At the base of his case is a little sign that reads, "Be wise like Eddie." That's basically our number one responsibility at Tiddlywump Elementary, to be wise like Eddie. Because what is greater than being wise? Nothing. That's what. Unless it's being right. I walk over to Eddie's case and spend a minute just smiling at him. In spite of my general preference to look stern and mysterious, there has never been a finer mascot in the history of elementary school. Which is why the last award, the Eddie Award, is so important. It goes to the student who has best lived up to Eddie's ideals of courage, patience, and wisdom, which, as everyone knows, is way more important than getting good grades or following every ridiculous rule every minute of the day. I will almost certainly win the Eddie Award because I am extremely courageous, patient, and wise. And I also have an insect named after me. Please try not to be too shocked, but I have been here for 4.5 years now, and I've never won it. Maud won it twice, and she and I are basically identical. Even though I love Maud dearly and miss her terribly and wish the best for her always, her being in California increases my chances of winning by about 500%. So it only makes sense that today is the day when I will win and get my face added to the wall of honor outside the principal's office. You may wish me luck, but I frankly do not need it. I'm still standing by Eddie's case when our school custodian, Mr. Hammer, comes over and starts wiping down the glass. "Morning, Slim, and how are things at M&M Incorporated?" "Good morning, Marvin." Mr. Hammer is one of the few grown-ups who will actually call me Slim or who knows anything about my detective agency. And he's one of the few grown-ups who lets me call him by his first name. One of the M's moved to California, and our caseload is a little light, but I have a feeling in my gut that the next big mystery is right around the corner, I say. "That's good to hear. It's a big day for all of us. Got to get Eddie's case all spiffed up." "Will you be at assembly?" "Wouldn't miss it." I suddenly wonder whether I should mention Mr. Hammer in my Eddie Award acceptance speech. I really like Mr. Hammer. He's easygoing and seems very smart. I know that grown-ups and fourth graders are not usually best friends, but I also get the sense that if I want to find a suitable replacement for Maud, I'm going to have to think outside the box. So I take out my notebook and consult my list of questions. "Do you like soup?" I ask. "Sure do," he says with a smile. I'm discouraged, but not defeated. After all, as difficult as it is for me to believe, most people do like soup. I press on. "What about avocados?" I say, squinting a bit to let him know that the question is very important. I like guacamole," he says. "Does that count?" "Of course it does," I say. "As far as I'm concerned, guacamole is basically just an avocado that fulfilled its destiny." He gets extra points. Next, which one is better, marshmallows or slugs? "Don't like marshmallows," he says, and my heart lifts. I have found a sensible person at last, and I can't stand slugs, so slimy. I put away my notebook. "I'm afraid I disagree with you on that one, Marvin," I say, "but I respect your opinion." And I do. Mr. Hammer is entitled to think whatever he wants about slugs. It's just that, in this particular case, he happens to be wrong. I leave him to his cleaning and glance over at the other side of the lobby, where Tammy and Tracy Dublinger are selling Wonder Scout cookies. Together, the Dublingers have won the past 6 Wise Owl Awards. They are tied at 3 each, and neither one of them is happy about it. Tammy is better at spelling. Tracy is better at math. Tammy is a little bit smarter. Tracy is a little bit meaner. Today will be the tiebreaker, putting one Dublinger firmly ahead of the other in the race to be the most obnoxious know-it-all in the universe. How will it play out? Personally, I don't give a flying fajita. I take a deep breath as I walk up to the table. The Dublingers are about as lovable as the bumps on the end of an alligator's nose, but Mom is always encouraging me to keep an open mind. And because Mom is wise and almost always right, I pause for a moment to ask myself whether one of the Dublingers might be my new best friend, even if only in some parallel universe. But 3 seconds later, one of them opens her mouth, and my mind slams shut again. "Free samples!" says a Dublinger, with a voice so sharp and shrill it could cut through a telephone pole. I cannot tell which Dublinger it is, because they insist on dressing exactly the same. "No thanks," I say. "I wasn't talking to you, Moxie," says Tracy. Suddenly I realize it's Tracy because she's wearing a name tag that says, "Hi, my name is Tracy." I have instructed Tracy Dublinger approximately 1,000 times to call me Slim. The fact that she refuses to do it is one of the approximately 1,000 things I do not like about her. Don't get me wrong. I like my name. I love my name. In fact, because it means something. Moxie is a kind of old-fashioned soda pop that Mom drank growing up and bought for Dad on their very first date. Mom says she had to make sure he liked the taste of it because it was just like her. The perfect blend of bitter and sweet. I can't think of anyone else who meets that description. Dad says he knew after just one sip that he wanted to marry Mom, though he didn't tell her this for a few years so that it wouldn't seem like the kind of person who jumps to hasty conclusions. Moxie might be the greatest name in the known universe, but every great detective needs a great detective name that strikes fear in the heart of her nemesis. And my nemesis is the one and only Tracy Dublinger. The name's Slim, I say. I wouldn't call you Slim even if Tammy's sweater were on fire, and calling you Slim was the only way to put it out, says Tracy, letting out a laugh at the exact same time, at the exact same pitch as Tammy. It doesn't seem like a very sisterly thing to say, and I wonder why Tammy finds it funny. But not for long, because now it's her turn to insult me. I wouldn't call you Slim if you asked really nicely and said please. Tammy lets out another awful laugh, but then stops suddenly when she realizes that Tracy isn't laughing with her. Instead, Tracy is looking at her twin as if Tammy were a bunny who just walked into a room full of cobras. That wasn't funny, says Tracy with a sneer. Really? I thought it was, says Tammy. Not even a little. Wait, are you sure? With zero doubt. I leave them to their sibling warfare, giving a good loud hurrumph as I walk away to remind anyone who might happen to be listening that I do not like Wonder Scout cookies, because I do not like Wonder Scouts, because I do not like Tammy or Tracy Dublinger. As I walk down the hallway to my classroom, everyone is still chattering. Everyone is still chattering about the assembly, the awards, and most of all, the tie in the Golden Owl standings. Of course, all I want to do is go straight to the auditorium so I can collect my Eddie Award at this very moment, but the assembly happens at the end of the day. For the time being, I must spend a long and miserable stretch of hours at the mercy of my other nemesis. Whew, that was the end of chapter
that was an exciting
3.
Chapter.
Oh my goodness.
So I would like to point out a couple things.
Yeah, please.
There are many people who seem to have had avocados and tomato soup and grilled cheese sandwiches for lunch today.
Today?
Yeah.
So soup and avocados. Mm-hmm. So behaving in a very confusing way to Moxie. Validating half of her preferences and absolutely repudiating the other half. So I would like to point out that don't invite Moxie for that particular meal unless you're ready to get some shade thrown your way. Okay?
I also want to point out that last week when we were at a school visit, Matthew had a sandwich.
Yeah.
Well, he had a burger.
Okay.
That was...
I'm going to get a little emotional as you mention this.
Look how he got excited.
Okay. All right. Listen to this burger. Okay. Oh, I thought you were going to say, and I was just going to react emotionally.
I thought you were telling me
No, I don't think I can even put it to words. It's so delicious.
All right. Let me tell you. Okay. Burger in the middle. Lettuce, onions, pickles,
jalapenos,
all the top,
mayonnaise,
all the toppings. Grilled cheese sandwich on top, grilled cheese sandwich on the bottom.
A whole grilled
as the bun.
2 grilled cheese sandwiches and a cheeseburger in one.
What was it called?
It was called Matthew's Dream, personified in sandwich form. I don't remember what it was called. I'm sorry, I don't remember. It was so delightful. You can get it
at the Thunderhead Bowl and Grill.
Oh my God, we love you people at the Thunderhead Bowl and Grill.
Town.
They were so nice.
It was so delicious.
Yeah, it was incredible.
It was the best sandwich ever. But I bet you could probably make one of those at home, a similar one.
That's true, but please ask your parents first, and please acquire the necessary ingredients first.
Yeah.
And don't put soup. Don't put it in soup. Don't put it in soup. If you want to appeal to Moxie. Robbie, here's a question. Value judgment. Should we read chapter 4? Do we want to? Or was that quite enough for today? Let's see what was...
on the agenda.
Okay, here we go. The agenda is vexing to me. Let's see. Give Grayson and Science Boy a shout out. I'm going to go out on a limb and hope that my people... No, we have not. Right. Yeah. Grayson, if you're there, I hope you're there. Hey, Grayson, nice to see you. Science Boy, thanks for sticking around. Good to see. I took out my dude voice, I could give a shout out to my dudes.
Super masculine person.
It's a stretch. It's a stretch. Here we go. Read chapters 3 and 4. We'll see about that. Answer questions. Did anybody ask any questions?
Really?
Does anybody have an opinion? Do you want to hear chapter 4? It's kind of long. That's the only thing. We
could read part of chapter 4.
Oh, that's very disruptive. That's very disruptive. I want to read all or none. I'm an all or none kind of guy. Let's see how we go.
It's not useful. Sometimes you have to work around your schedule. I can't believe, as somebody who likes to, maybe as someone who likes to follow schedules, you can't be.
Let's do it. Let's read chapter 4. All right, that's what we said we were going to do. Let's stick with it. Chapter 4: New best friend candidates. My teacher, Mrs. Bunyan, might be the oldest person in the entire world. Some kids say she once met George Washington. She has curly gray hair and old-fashioned glasses she might have purchased in a costume shop. She is not short and not tall and kind of roundish and also kind of bony and looks like she might break in two at any moment. But she does not break in two. In spite of how she looks, Mrs. Bunyan is strong and tough and never gets tired of talking about pronouns and Eleanor Roosevelt or Roman numerals. I think I did that backwards. Roman numerals, or Eleanor Roosevelt, or pronouns. Robbie organized that in a kind of counterintuitive way, but I'm with you, Robbie. I'm with you. Robbie gets to design the book however she wants to. In case you are wondering, Mrs. Bunyan is not the kind of person who enjoys being hugged. In fact, she is exactly the kind of person who doesn't. We know because one time Veronica Parker tried it on a dare and ended up losing in Owl Point. "Class!" snaps Mrs. Bunyan. "As you all know, the end-of-term spelling test will happen later this morning, right after recess." I see Tammy and Tracy glance at each other nervously. They are so close in the Wise Owl standings that even a single tricky silent letter make all the difference. Mrs. Bunyan continues, "But to get the day started on a productive and positive note, I'd like to talk for a while about dental hygiene." There is a groan, an actual groan, from all of us together at once. Mrs. Bunyan doesn't seem to notice or care. "If you will direct your attention to the front of the room," she says, pulling out an enormous drawing of a mouth full of sickly yellowish teeth that someone has definitely not been brushing. As Mrs. Bunyan does her best to save our mouths from the perils of sugary treats, I glance around at my classmates, trying so hard to keep my mind open, searching for even the faintest glimmer of hope that there is a new best friend among them. To my left sits Bob Tuttleman, a tall boy with dark curly dark hair, endless energy, and a smile stuck on his face wherever he goes. He is literally bouncing up and down in his seat. I admire Bob's enthusiasm. If I were putting together a dodgeball team or looking for someone to wrestle a deranged panther, I might choose Bob. But I have my doubts about whether he's best friend material. Still, given the lack of options, I make a mental note to ask him how he feels about soup at the next opportunity. Across the room, Tammy and Tracy Dublinger are sitting there not saying anything, while obviously having a hilarious silent conversation with their secret twin mind powers. Even if they are answering all 4 questions on my list with flying colors, I would never in 6,000 years invite them over for strawberry milkshakes. No, no, no. Unless, of course, it was a trick, as in Annabelle Adams' Girl Detective Volume 17, Bottoms Up, in which Annabelle dupes her nemesis, Dr. Fungo, into drinking what he thinks is a delicious milkshake, but is actually Elmer's glue. His mouth gets so clogged up with sticky, non-toxic goop that he can't bark orders to his army of menacing henchmen. In the confusion that follows, Annabelle defeats all 10,000 of them using nothing but an overripe banana and a pair of left-handed sewing scissors. Which is to say, there are certain limited circumstances in which I might offer a Dublinger something to drink. Leon Magruder is sitting right in front of me, drawing furiously in his sketchbook. He has straight black hair and bird bones and a permanent hunch. All he does all day long is draw comics in which various superheroes punch and kick and shout at one another over and over again. When Leon draws, it's a cross between drawing and an actual fighting. He really gets into it. I feel sorry for the paper. Could Leon be my new best friend? Perhaps. He's really smart. It's not a stretch to picture him on a unicycle, and he seems to care a lot about something, which is important to me. I have no idea whether he likes avocados, but one day at lunch I saw him eat a tub of something greenish that might have been guacamole or spoiled potato salad. I look across the room. George, Sandy, Jamal, Grace, Jose, Donna, Freddie, Veronica, Chaz. The list goes on. Suddenly it occurs to me. Not only are these my best friend candidates, but every single one of them is also potential competition for the Eddie Award. Do they stand a chance? I decide that none of them do, except, perhaps, the good and perfect Emily Estevez, who is not at her desk, which is very strange, given that she's never late. Emily won the Eddie Award in 2nd grade and is exactly the kind of nice, considerate person who might win it again. Emily is also a potential new best friend candidate, assuming she is an actual 4th grader and not, as I occasionally suspect, a well-meaning cyborg or an undercover nun. She is smart. She understands algebra. She is strong. She can do 40 push-ups. She is good. Won the Golden Owl last year. And she's interesting. Volunteers feeding elephants at the zoo. Given my high standards and excellent taste, I suppose it makes perfect sense that my leading competition for the Eddie Award would also be at the top of my best friend list candidates. Does Emily like soup? I'm not sure. I do know from the talent show that she can play the recorder, but I have no idea if she also appreciates the flugelhorn. I'm trying to remember if I've ever seen Emily eat a marshmallow when Bob Tuttleman starts waving his hand. Yes, Bob? Says Mrs. Bunyan, obviously irritated that she has to stop talking about gum disease. I have to go to the bathroom, says Bob. Bob has to go to the bathroom a lot, and I mean a lot. You can tell that Mrs. Bunyan doesn't want to let him go. After all, leaving now would mean missing out on various important facts about his teeth. But there is an ironclad tiddlywump rule that says teachers aren't allowed to say no if you ask to go to the bathroom. There was once a kid named Doug Doubletree who asked to go to the bathroom so often that the teacher stopped letting him, and then he peed in his pants in the art room, and his mom came to school and made a huge scene, and ever since then, if you say you have to go to the bathroom, the teachers have to let you, even if they really don't want you to. All because of Doug. He's pretty much legendary. Mrs. Bunyan gives Bob an irritated nod and hands him a bright green hall pass. He bounces out of the room like a giddy kangaroo. Oh, I wish I'd thought of that. I'd give anything to be in the hall right now, away from Mrs. Bunyan and her tooth talk. I'd much rather be preparing my acceptance speech for when I win the Eddie Award. Mrs. Bunyan returns to her lesson, but midway through the detailed description of root canals, the classroom door opens and best friend candidate Emily Estevez walks in, looking sleepy and a little sweaty. Do you have a note? I don't. I fell asleep on the bus and just woke up. I believe her. She has various sleeping-related dents on her face. Plus, Emily Estevez is so nice and good and perfect that she would never tell a lie. Did you stop at the front office and get a hall pass at least? Asked Mrs. Bunyan. Of course. Emily would sooner drown a kitten than break a single rule. She reaches into her pocket and then into her other pocket before realizing that she's all out of pockets and still can't find her hall pass. I'm sorry, but that's 1 owl point, sings Mrs. Bunyan with glee as she walks over to her secret teacher notebook where she keeps track of these things. Mrs. Bunyan loves nothing more than than taking away our owl points, even from the good and perfect Emily Estevez. No yawning, no stretching, no smiling, no joy. That's what Mrs. Bunyan thinks while she lies in her vampire coffin. I think she lies in bed at night and thinks up new rules for us to break. Emily does not put up a fight. As she hangs her backpack on her hook, I notice it's bulging, as if everything she owns is crammed inside. The sequined elephant on the pocket looks like it's had way too much to eat, and the poor zipper seems like it might burst at any moment. Emily walks back to her desk, looking like she wants to cry, or go back to sleep, or crawl into a hole in the ground. Mrs. Bunyan's enthusiastic explanation of gum health resumes, and I'm wishing I were anywhere but here, behind Leon, whose drawing has suddenly grown so loud and wild that I'm starting to worry a little. Apparently, his superheroes are in the middle of some epic battle. It sounds like he's sawing through the paper with his pencil. I arch forward in my seat to get a better look. A muscle-bound guy with 7 heads is battling a monster that looks like a unicorn mixed with an octopus mixed with a toaster. Pow! Shouts Leon. Pow! Blam! Kazow! The other kids start to notice. Everyone is giggling, and soon Mrs. Bunyan realizes that most of us are missing important information about the dangers of plaque. Leon! Leon keeps powing and blamming and kazowing. Leon! She says again, a little louder this time. Leon still doesn't notice, which is kind of incredible, because now Mrs. Bunyan is standing right next to his desk, staring down like a thunderstorm that is about to rain all over him. Leon! Suddenly, Leon returns from whatever planet he's been orbiting. He looks calmly up at Mrs. Bunyan, as if she has politely asked him if he would like a glass of lemonade. Yes? That's 3 owl points! When Leon does not look sufficiently upset by this punishment, Mrs. Bunyan adds, and a trip to the principal's office! Mrs. Bunyan grabs the bright red bowling pin from the bookshelf and places it not very gently on Leon's desk. Ooh, says the class in unison. Mrs. Bunyan snaps her head around to shut us up. It works. Everyone knows that if you're carrying a red bowling pin in the halls of Tiddlywump Elementary School, it means that you have been sent to the principal's office and are supposed to go directly there instead of, say, stopping to take a long, relaxing drink at the water fountain. No, sir. No, my friends. The principal's office is pretty much the worst thing that can happen to you at Tiddlywump Elementary. It is a common knowledge that Principal Jones used to be either a professional lion tamer or the warden of a secret underground prison. She is tall, she is tough, and awful things happen when you get sent to see her. Rumors of awful happenings include 1. Being hung upside down by your ankles and tickled with a feather until you give up all your darkest secrets. 2. Being dropped through a trapdoor into a pool of murky water filled with feisty, toothless eels that gnaw endlessly on your toes. 3. Being tied to a chair while Principal Jones' secretary, Mrs. Breath, rhymes with death, reads to you from the P section of the Oxford English Dictionary. Which is why, as much as I don't mind breaking the occasional rule in the name of justice or self-respect or problem-solving, I am careful to never, ever get sent to the principal's office. I feel sorry for Leon. He's not a bad guy. I think he's just a super weirdo who really likes to draw, really doesn't care about his teeth, and may or may not like avocados. Apparently Leon is still lost in outer space because he doesn't seem the least bit concerned about his trip to see Principal Jones. In fact, he's sort of halfway smiling as he takes the bowling pin and hall pass and disappears into the hallway. Mrs. Bunyan continues sharing her thoughts on soft-bristled toothbrushes until she is silenced by a sudden loud buzz that makes us all jump, followed by a crackle that makes our ears hurt, followed by the unmistakable voice that always makes us worry a little, the voice of Principal Jones. Good morning, owls of Tiddlywump. It's Friday, the 18th of December, and it's 37 degrees outside. Later this afternoon, we will be gathering for the winter assembly. I remind you all to walk quietly and respectfully in the halls on your way to the auditorium. Principal Jones pauses for a second, so that each of us has a moment to think. Or else you will be hung upside down by your ankles or gnawed on by toothless eels. Principal Jones continues. I want to take a moment to recognize fourth grader Emily Estevez for contributing 20 hours of her time to Tiddlywump Hill's soup kitchen this month. Eddie thanks her for her generous service. I glance over at Emily, who is sitting there as if nothing out of the ordinary has happened, even though it's obvious she has just pulled into the lead for the battle for the Eddie Award. She is a formidable opponent. Unfortunately, there's not enough time for me to do something equally amazing and admirable between now and the assembly. My only hope is that Principal Jones realizes that I, too, would have been at the soup kitchen, if only I weren't so busy saving the world in other equally important ways. Thank you, owls. That's all for this morning, says Principal Jones. I will see you this afternoon at the assembly. Have a good day, and remember to always be wise like Eddie. There is a crackle and another loud buzz. Even though we know it's coming, it always makes us jump. I'm wondering why Tiddlywump can't get a better intercom when Tracy Dublinger raises her hand and tells Mrs. Bunyan that she forgot to floss her teeth after breakfast this morning and that she's very worried what might happen if she goes all day long with little bits of grapefruit stuck between her molars. Can I please go to the nurse and get some floss? Tracy says this as if her arm has just fallen off and she needs someone to sew it back on. I am waiting for Mrs. Bunyan to take away one of Tracy Dublinger's owl points for being so ridiculous, but instead she gets very concerned and goes over to Tracy's desk and peers directly into her mouth. Oh, dear. Yes, this is very serious indeed. Go see Nurse Crockett right away. Tracy Dublinger is practically in tears as she takes her hall pass and runs out of the classroom. We hear her making panicked little whoops as she scurries down the hall toward the main office. Whoop, 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 whoop. Even if Tracy Dublinger kissed a slug on its slimy mouth while eating guacamole and riding on a unicycle, I would not have her as a best friend. While Mrs. Bunyan looks extremely pleased with herself, as if she had just rescued an orphan from a runaway freight train. Tammy Dublinger smiles proudly to show the world that her teeth are straight and spectacular and already very well flossed. Mrs. Bunyan picks her tooth poster again and launches into a lengthy speech about how our future happiness depends on the state of our mouths. I watch the clock as minutes pass, and I'm wondering whether it's possible to actually die of boredom when another loud bzzz crackles from the intercom. This is highly unusual. We haven't had more than one set of announcements since Wally Belvedere sneaked his hamster Otis into school, and Otis escaped in the music room, and Principal Jones came to the loudspeaker to ask everyone to please not squish Otis if we happen to see him. Principal Jones starts to speak. It seems that there aren't going to be any awards today. Not until we get to the bottom of this. She pauses as 163 kids lean forward and wonder to themselves what in the world Principal Jones is talking about. Later, I would realize that only 162 of us were wondering, because one of us already knew. Dum 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 dum. That's what my kids would call a cliffhanger. Yes. And maybe you would call a cliffhanger too. Thanks for sticking with us, you guys. Yes. That was some important exposition, which is the part of the story where things get set up before the excitement begins.
Before the action.
So the action is going to happen tomorrow when we read chapter 5, 1 hour later than we did today because of the story time we're going to be a part of tomorrow. Yeah. But anyway, join us here at 2:30 tomorrow. Should we see if there's... What have you been writing over here, Robbie?
I've been writing all of the comments and questions.
Oh, okay. Well, let's see. I think that might be time for that. Let's see. Answer questions. Let's see. What's happening over there?
Okay.
Robbie, please, come to the fore.
All right.
Yes.
I feel like I'm already at the fore.
Oh, come... Stay at the fore, Robbie.
Okay.
Stay here at the fore. Yes.
El Puppy asks...
El Puppy.
Who's the inspiration for Emily? She seems perfect.
Oh, well, don't all of us know that kid in our class who seems perfect? Maybe isn't perfect, but seems perfect, and we admire that person. We're a little bit confused about...
Do you know somebody like that?
I do. I'm not going to out the perfection in my life.
You should out a perfection.
She is an archetype. She is a type of person who seems really great and who we like and admire. She was a useful person to have in this story because Moxie can admire her while not quite understanding her because she's so different from Moxie in certain ways, right? Moxie has a lot of the characteristics, or would like to have a lot of the characteristics Emily has, but she's too impatient, she's too selfish. So anyway, Emily is a foil for her.
I was going to say,
yeah.
The point is, Matthew made up a person who is unrealistically perfect. There actually are no perfect people.
I said that seem perfect.
I know, but I'm saying there's
Emily's also not perfect. Stick with us, friends.
I'm answering the question,
All right.
which is who is the inspiration?
Oh.
There's no particular person, unless you were thinking of a particular person.
Robbie's the inspiration for my perfect characters.
Boy, that's terrible.
All right, who's next?
All right.
Yes?
Mrs. Bunyan must be very old.
Well, you know what? I think
if she was around during George Washington days.
That was a case of exaggeration. That is apocryphal, my friends. Yes. That means it's sort of an urban legend. It is something that the kids say that's obviously not true, meant to provide a point through exaggeration.
Very good.
All
right. We had a joke.
What was it?
It was...
Yeah.
Why did the mom bring toilet paper to the party?
Toilet paper. Why did the mom bring toilet paper to the party? Because she was worried the party did not have enough toilet paper. That's not the actual answer, is it? What is it?
Because she's a party pooper.
Oh!
Moms are always party poopers.
Not always. Some moms are just like Robbie. And she walks into the room and the party starts. All right. Robbie has never, to my knowledge, brought toilet paper to a party, but there's always next time.
I'm going to do it next time.
Okay, go ahead.
I would like to be a party pooper.
All right, there you go.
Duncan's dog's name is Leon.
Thank you. That's good. That's coincidental, yeah.
Question from El Puppy.
Okay, El Puppy. Okay.
Why did you make Moxie not like soup?
I wanted Moxie to have strong preferences about things, some of which were counterintuitive. So you could recognize that it's not just that Moxie always does what everybody else does. Moxie does her own thing. She's an individual. She has strong opinions that sometimes run counter to what other people think. I don't know where I had a model for someone who functions in that way, who has counterintuitive preferences and opinions. I wanted you to know that she was a strong-willed person who just made up her mind about some things, including something as seemingly innocent as soup, informs a strong ironclad opposition. That is how you understand her character. It's characterization. It's a thing that people do when they create stories.
It's a good detail to show what type of person she is.
And it also provides an opportunity for me to have her talk to people about soup and seemingly make value judgments about them based on their liking of soup, which tells you something else about Moxie. So, anyway, great question. I love that question.
Lily wants to know if you ever write stories about your family.
Yes, you guys. I have written a story about our family. It's the next book that will be published. It's called Sunrise Summer. And here, riff for a second, and I'll grab a copy of it.
It's called Sunrise Summer. It's about our summers in Alaska. Somebody else asked Matthew if we could introduce the kids on a future live cast.
We will,
I'm sure we will at some point. There's lots of clamoring for our children. You guys, our children aren't that exciting.
Our children are incredibly exciting to us, but I'm not sure you guys... Oh, boy. I think because we're sort of running out of time today, let's save children introductions for another time. We'll leave you wanting more. This is Sunrise Summer, and this is called an advanced reader copy. So see this up here? It says, imprint, advanced reader's edition, not for sale. This is a version of Sunrise Summer that's available for the sales and marketing team at Macmillan to share with librarians and bookstores and bloggers and reviewers and all that stuff.
It's like a little preview. It's like the, what's it called? When movies come out?
It's like the trailer, except it's all the art and words.
Whole thing.
Yeah. But it's a paperback version. The final version will be a hardcover book. And maybe at some point we'll share some of the art inside with you. We want to be a little coy today.
Oh, you're being coy.
This is a story about our family's summer adventures in Alaska. We are commercial salmon fishermen in the summer, which is one of the things you have to do if you marry Robbie.
Sorry.
You have no option.
Yeah.
You have to fly 4,400 miles. You have to live in a place with no electricity and running water where bears are wandering around outside. You have to put on a full rubber suit and then pull fish out of the water. So what Alden and Robbie are doing in this illustration is pulling fish out of a net that we use to catch the fish. So this is all about our family, and here, look on the back. There are Robbie and her brother and sister and Alden, while I stand in the waves, not helping, taking a photograph that Robbie used to create this illustration.
This illustration was based on a photograph, and Matthew was taking the picture.
I was not popular.
And we were all pulling a rope because it was sort of an emergency situation.
And I was like, excuse me,
Matt was grabbing,
artistic purposes.
dragging out into the ocean.
I cannot help at this moment.
Stop, I need to take a picture. And we were all like, yeah.
But Robbie, how glad were you to have that picture when the time came to make this illustration?
But my brother and sister were both like, yeah.
Sunrise Summer comes out in June. Thank you for asking that question. We did not tell that person to ask that question, although we appreciate it. All right, what's up next? What's up next? Any more?
That's kind
Is
of
that
it.
Let's see what else is in the agenda. All right.
Yeah, we got the joke.
I think we've
got
gotten
the
to the end here.
I think so.
Answer questions. Remind people about tomorrow's schedule change. 2:30 tomorrow for the read-along instead of 1:30. And what is that?
Quesadillas are delicious.
Quesadillas are delicious. That is the final note for today.
They are.
Tuck
Matthew
that
makes
away.
a really good quesadilla.
I might go make one right now. Friends, we have enjoyed spending this time with you,
Yes.
as always.
Yes.
Thank you for spending some time with us. And we will see you tomorrow, we hope. We hope. All right?
So, just a reminder.
Yeah.
At 11 o'clock.
11 o'clock tomorrow, a stay-at-home story hour begins. We're going to post information for you on the social media. Okay,
Yes.
A lot of Daniel Handler and Lisa Brown, so Lemony Snicket, if you guys are familiar with him, we love his work. Carson Ellis, the legendary Carson Ellis, who Robbie just loves her illustrations.
Are just so beautiful.
Jessica Hish, Scott Campbell, all sorts of folks who we admire and are amazed to be in a lineup with. So we are going to give the hours from 11 to 2 o'clock tomorrow over to that. Then we will jump into this tomorrow if we have any energy left. If not, we will sleep, and you can watch us sleeping.
Oh,
okay?
boy.
More
Boy
stuff?
Is asking
we might have to
his question.
We might have to save it for tomorrow at this point. We will. Science Boy, please bring it tomorrow. We must end at this point. We try to keep up with the questions. We will endeavor to in the future. Thank you, friends, for being with us today. We appreciate you.
Yes.
All right, go wash your hands.
Go wash your hands.
Bye.
Bye, guys.